even lift all these. Okay, I'm putting them down. I haven't done a sit-down video in quite a while, so here we are. I am sick. I am ill right now, so apologies in advance if my voice sounds bad, because it is. I figured I'd give just a full recap of all of the books I've read this year and what my ratings were for them. The stats are that I've read 17 books, which is now 18, because I literally just finished a book today. And it seems that my highest ranking reads are kind of split between young adult and romance. So the first book that I read for 2025 was Iron Flame. I gave this a 4-star. I am reflecting back on what happened, and it was a really good book, and I really liked it. If you don't know, I'm no longer continuing reading the series just due to the spice level increase. I do know that the first one was really good, and this one was really good as well. We just continue to follow Violet and Xaden throughout their journey. There's a whole nother adventure that they're going on, and I think because I'm sick, no events are flashing to my mind, and honestly, I feel like Kit from Fearless right now. Stay tuned. So the second book that I read was The Grandest Game by no other than Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I love Jennifer Lynn Barnes, okay? If you don't know, now you know. One of my favorite authors. She's a literary genius. I unfortunately rated this a 2.75 though. I did not like this book very much, and I thought it was very much unnecessary to the plot and very disappointing to me personally. We mainly followed Grayson's point of view in this book, and this is supposed to be kind of like a continuation of the Inheritance games, but like a new plot line or whatever. And I just did not dig it, so I will actually not be continuing reading this series. I followed up The Grandest Games with none other than Cress from the Lunar Chronicles. I rated Cress a 3-star. Honestly, this book feels like it gets smaller and smaller every time I hold it, but this book is chunky, okay? 550, almost 600 pages. Compared to the other books I've read this year, that's not a lot, but this was such a long trek to read. It took me so long to read this book because the plot is just so slow in the beginning. Like the whole first half, you're so just trudging along, quite literally walking through the desert. Boring. And then the ending was like, oh crap, what the heck's going on? My brother. But I adore this series. This series holds such a dear place in my heart, and Marissa Meyer, again, is one of my favorite authors. Next, I read Once Upon a Prince by Rachel Hawk. I rated this a 4.5 stars. This is a Christian romance book, and I adored it. Her writing is so beautiful, and the ingenuity of just collaborating faith with fiction was phenomenal, and that's very hard to achieve. I personally know, as I'm writing my book in a fiction world, like you're walking a line, okay? Like we want to speak truth, but it's also a fiction world, so how do you coincide the two to create a relatable story that helps connect with others? That is the real connection that we want, and she did this seamlessly. I loved it. We follow Susanna Truitt and Nathaniel. Nathaniel is the Prince of Brighton, is where he's from, but he lives over there, and he is the prince, and he is just coming to America for his little summer trip. His parents sent him over there to just live his last hurrah out for a unknown reason, but a known reason. And then Susanna, she has been living in her small town forever. She's with her high school sweetheart, and basically something happens in the very beginning of the book, quite literally the first sentence, and devastates her. And then she meets Nathaniel, and the rest is history. But I loved being in this world, and I cannot wait to continue the series because it was beautiful, and I love her writing. So please pick up this book. Then I went into Miss Bulky Winter over here. She's thick. How big was this? This was like 800 pages, bro. I zoomed through this. Okay, 800 pages had nothing on me. I was speeding at 80 miles an hour, okay? Cruising in the fast lane with this sucker because I finished this so fast and so much happened in this book and it was phenomenal. Again, I don't want to spoil much because especially with 4 out of the 5 books I've talked about right now are in the middle of a series. So I'm not going to speak very heavily on those because I don't want to give any spoilers, but this does follow Queen Lavanna, her stepdaughter, Winter. That's our new character introduced. We continue to follow Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress throughout their journey with Thorn, Wolf, and Kai. Shout out them. And our new soldier, Jason. We follow Jason. Love them. Probably my favorite couple other than Cinder and Kai. The next book I don't have a physical copy of. It was The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. I was obsessed with this book. I had pretty low expectations. I think I read this around February. It is set on Valentine's Day. I loved this book. I really loved it, and I have a tendency to not like repetitiveness, and it's one of those things where it's like a deja vu thing where like the day keeps repeating itself over and over again. Loved it. I don't remember what the characters' names were, but they were so adorable. We follow a broody man and a very girly, put together woman who is just trying to stick to the plan and get it right with her boyfriend, but then her boyfriend is found cheating on her and she's ticked, and she goes through that adventure of that and maybe possibly falling for broody man. But broody man has depth to him. She also finds more of herself and learns to be a freer person. So loved that book. I rated it a 4.25, which was solid. I started the Throne of Glass series, and I did start with the Assassin's Blade, and I don't care if this was the wrong one to start with. I did, and I'm grateful for that, because this tore me, all right? Tore me to shreds. I think about this on a daily basis. This book specifically altered everything in my brain. I am wrecked with love and joy and such deep sorrow. And yeah, so basically this is composed of, I think, 5 short stories. Each of them are following our main character, Celaena, who is a baddie. She's an assassin of this big assassin group or whatever. And we learn kind of about her time being in this assassin group and what she has to do at different adventures and stuff she goes on throughout that. Again, I'm really glad I started with it because it gives you so much context into Celaena and her character. And just from this book alone, she's developed so much into Throne of Glass, where it's like, oh, if I didn't know this about you, then I would be very confused where you are now. And honestly, like, you see the growth, because I personally didn't like Celaena in most of this book. I was like, oh, this brat, like, are you joking me? She's very naive. She's very, very childlike in a way that's like, you haven't grown up yet. And then all this crap happens and she's grown up, and she's grown up fast. All right. So 5-star from me. Diving off of that, I read All In, which is a continuation of the Natural series. If you don't know, I don't know if I filmed a video or not for this, but I read The Naturals, which is the first book in the series, during a hurricane. I think it was Hurricane Ian. We were locked down in our house and I binged the crap out of that. Okay. Loved it. Read the second one. It was all right. This one I read. Phenomenal. I loved it. I'm loving everything about this series. I have a good time every time I pick up this series, and I love it even more than The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I rated this a 4.75 as well. Then I picked up none other than the first book in the Throne of Glass series. Why I'm glad that I started with that, The Assassin's Blade, because I was so attached to the characters at that point and so like emotional on the circumstances that had happened in her life And I actually went into this a little bit disappointed because this is hyped up to be really about these games where she has to become like the king's champion, and she's in with a bunch of other assassins and they have to do a bunch of like trial things to become the champion. And instead of focusing on that, which this book is severely marketed as, there was so much more like day-to-day thoughts, like back in the room, talking to people, that kind of vibe. And it felt very low stakes for being set as a high stake book. But there are obviously some things in here that are high stakes and that do happen. I thought there was going to be more of it, I think. So I did ultimately give this a 3.5 stars. On Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and it's the pretty covers. They are glorious. I love them. But this book, my first book that I read by her, and I loved it. I loved how we jumped straight into the story. I feel like you don't see that as much anymore. Like there's just so much backstory you're given right off the back of a book. And instead, like with this one, we just were in it and we were go, and going, and felt like I was with the characters through all of the challenges they were facing. Like I felt so present within the characters' POVs, and I loved it. Go read this book. I had a video about like finishing books I'm in the middle of, and I finished 3 books in that video, which was really nice, I will say, but it was a dud. There was obviously a reason I stopped reading these books, but here we are. I actually buddy read Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft with my best friend, and we loved doing this, and the vibes were definitely there. The setting was there, but the book did fall short at a 2.75 is what I rated it. I think she rated it like a 3 or 2. It did follow exactly how the story is told in The Secret of the Wings, the love story between Lord Mallory and Queen Clarion, but we got nothing else. Like I expected more from it. Like I thought they were summarizing their love story because they literally did it in like 5 seconds, but they didn't. Like that's literally it. There's nothing. It was nice though seeing how Queen Clarion was and what her kind of upbringing for Queen was. That was very interesting, and I did again like the way that she wrote and just the setting that we were in. And went into Gilded by Christina Farley, and this was a Korean folk story. It's a different read for me, mainly because it was based in Korea and we're following a Korean American woman, which was phenomenal. I actually was obsessed. I've never gotten such culture from a book, and that has been so accurate. The author actually taught school in Korea, and that really, I think, brought this book to life because there were real places mentioned and real stories that were told mentioned in this book, and that really did bring it to life. I do think that the writing itself, though, was good, but her plots were really bad. I did not like the way that she plotted this book and told this story. It was very choppy to me personally, and the concepts were strange, and I didn't quite connect with them on a level that I wanted to, which was really difficult for me. It also was quite repetitive. 2.75 for me, but again, you can watch that video to see more of my in-depth reviews and more about the story. And I went in with Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. I was super excited to go into this book. I've never read one of her books before, and it was really nice to dive in and try her out. I've heard that she's a pretty clean author when it comes to writing romances. There was like an explicit page that was like skip these pages or whatever, which I didn't see until like a little bit into the book, but I didn't like hit anything yet. But I was like, okay, that's nice that like she put the pages there. But I've heard that she's marketed more as a clean writer. We're following 2 second grade teachers, and they're apparently enemies. Yeah, ain't anything that deep in second grade. I'm sorry, but no. You lost me there. Like, I thought it was cute, and then I found out why that they're enemies, and I was like, oh, this is so dumb. This is dumb. But it was nice because both of them are authors. The male character, Jack, I love that name. Jack is actually a really popular author, but he writes under a pen name. And then we have Emily Walker, who wants to write and publish her own book. So that was fun to follow and kind of get her perspective on that. Following that up, I picked up Light Lark. I actually was caught in a storm at Walmart when I was like, I can't drive home. And I found this on the shelf, picked it up, went to the couch section and sat my butt down and started reading this. And then after I got like 30 pages into it, I was like, I'm buying this. I'm taking this home. This is mine now. And I read it and I loved it. Like, honestly, so fun. The concept, amazing. I had a great time. Isla's our main character. Love her. She is a wilding and apparently she has no power. She's born without it. And we're in a realm that is full of curses. Curses happened a long time ago and everyone's beefing, all right? But then every 100 years, this island called Light Lark appears and all of the rulers go to Light Lark for a chance to win and break the curses on this island, which has not happened for a long time. With that being said, Isla goes, but again, she doesn't have any powers, so she's very hidden in her wildling territory, which is supposed to be able to control like plant life and wildlife and all that stuff. But yeah, she goes on this adventure and her friend's there and she's trying to survive and she meets two guys and it's great and I loved it and I had a great time. And the plot twists were crazy, literally crazy. I was shook. There is a scene in this book that is not great that I did skip. At Divergent, I actually listened to that on audiobook and it was amazing. I have watched the movies before I've read them, and again, I've said this before, but when I watch the movies before, I definitely do not want to read them for some reason, but I was like, I want to. I definitely do. But I can never get myself to do it because I've already like watched it. So I audiobooked it and it was a blast. I had a lot of fun listening to it. And it's so much more fun too because you get so much more context than just the movie and so much more depth to the situation and what's going on, and it's phenomenal. And Divergent is a very widely known dystopian. Up Crown of Midnight. I'm spacing out the Throne of Glass series, but this is the second official book of the series and I rated it a 4-star. I love this book. I was wrecked. Yet again, this book, the pacing was phenomenal. I loved it. This is what, I don't know if it was what I was expecting because I didn't go in with expectations for this one at all, but it is exactly what I wanted and needed, and I was satisfied with the ending and what happened throughout the book. And it was very much driven by so many things. You should pick up the series for sure. I read The Size of a Mustard Seed by Val Melvis. And I talked about it in my last video, but it was an ARC copy of this book. It's a Christian cottagecore, like cozy fantasy. Chef's kiss. It's going to be a series, so I'm so excited to read the next book. But it was amazing. The faith elements in it was phenomenal. Again, just another piece that was great. And I loved it. And I rated it a 4-star as well. Of today, I finished Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is the 3rd book in the Powerless trilogy, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I have shorts on this book, so go watch those if you want my full reviews of everything that happened. This was a unexpected surprise because if you know, Powerless made Lauren Roberts my favorite author immediately. I loved that book, and there were so many parts in it that wrecked me to my core in that book that I was just attached to. I solely think it's the brother dynamic because there's 3 brothers and I have a family of 3 sisters and it reminds me of my like sisters. So I was very much drawn to that found family aspect. But then I read Powerful. That wrecked me. Tore me to shreds. Love that book. And then I read Reckless and I was like, who is this? What am I reading right now? Because this sucks. And then I was like, oh, let's pick up this one. And this one, I'm not gonna lie, it did suck for a bit. I was like, what the heck's going on? It felt like there was a cheating trope going on. I wasn't down with that. I was like, what is going on? What the heck, dude? And again, watch my spoiler videos. It ended up being a 5-star because I read like 3/4 of this book in a day. And that's like 400 pages in a day. I consumed it, and so much stuff happened. Like literally so much stuff. Nothing happened. Like the first half, nothing happened. And then apparently the second half was just like full on steroids. Like I'm gonna have every single thing that could possibly happen at that book. And I loved it. It was crazy. My head is like spinning still from it. So those were the 18 books that I've read so far this month. If you don't know, my goal is to read 50 books by the end of the year. I am behind schedule, but it's okay because it's okay. It's not gonna be the end of the world. But I'm really glad that I got to catch you guys up on what I'm reading, and if you have any questions, let me know. But I'm glad we got to catch up, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.